Hello, and today we are talking about steps and systems into communicating your personal safety. Today you are getting a 2-for-1. And my name is Amy S.P. Wilson. I am the CEO of Safety Positive Foundation, and I am very excited to talk to you about today's topic. And as I said, you are getting a 2-for-1 because there are a few systems that are specifically being taught to the blind and visually impaired community, and instead of spending a quick video, I figured let's just combine them into this because they can definitely be taught. Now, I could probably spend hours, and Safety Positive, we spent a whole month in talking about communication with our tea time events, and if you want to spend more time, we are talking about it within our tea times and that sort of thing. But I'm going to try to not go on my rants about how much I like communication and how important it is to personal safety, but try to keep it within a YouTube brief time frame. Anywho, so steps you can take in communicating personal safety. So in Safety Positive Foundation, we really want you to start where you are at. So figuring out where you are comfortable at in your communication, because what I have found over the years in my experience with working with individuals is a majority of people even struggle in speaking up when it comes to communicating in when they feel that their boundaries have been crossed, whether it's an individual coming up and physically putting their hands on them. When I'm saying grabbing them, they've put their hands on their wrist, their elbow, their shoulder, whatever the case might be. They don't know that they're essentially invading their space and realizing what they're doing is not okay. This is very common in a blind and visually impaired individual's life. That's a whole other topic. But regardless, when this happens, a majority of blind and visually impaired individuals struggle to speak up. And so if you are one of those individuals, I encourage you to practice in saying something. Okay, and so this is kind of where it comes into that 2-for-1 thing. In the system that is teaching you to just learn to say something is a system with the SEED program that I helped to develop with the Strive for You organization, called Empowering Words. Because when we created the program, we understood that each person is different. They are different personality types. And so figuring out what works best for you is essential. So if you're somebody who tends to be a little more sarcastic, putting maybe your personality on it type of thing. But again, I'm not going to get into that because I don't teach for that program anymore. I recommend you go and talk to them. But the point is saying something. Saying nothing to a majority of people makes them think that this is consensual and you're okay with this interaction, even though you essentially are, majority of the times, you are not okay with this interaction. So learning to say something is very, very big. In another step in communicating is practicing communicating. If you're somebody who struggles to communicate, and believe me, I was one of them. I can understand in that, not wanting to be the nice person, not wanting to, well, they're just trying to help me and I don't want to become rude. I don't want to be the rude blind person. I get it. 100% get it. Okay. You're not being rude. Advocating for your boundaries, for your personal safety is not being rude. They're being rude by coming up and putting their hands on you and not asking, not respecting you. That's rude. Anyways, again, I could probably spend hours on that topic. But practicing in what you want to say, in practicing the tone of voice, the influx in your voice, having a friend to practice it with, friend, family. If you don't have a friend or family, practice it to yourself. Imaginary friend. You've heard the term visualize. Well, as blind people, that sounds like a weird, visualize. But we can essentially do it in our mind. Whether or not you are visualizing it, you can think about it in your mind. You can think about that situation. And the term still applies, visualize. You're imagining the scenario in your mind. And if you imagine that scenario enough in your mind, when that scenario occurs, you're going to respond with it right away because you've practiced it enough to where when it does, it's muscle memory, or brain muscle memory more specifically. So that is extremely powerful, a powerful tool in your toolkit, which we at Safety Positive here love to give you as many tools as possible when it comes to personal safety, because tools are amazing. Anyways, okay, so you have your words. Words are powerful. Your mind is powerful. You also have another system that Safety Positive Foundation teaches, which is called verbal craft. Now, this system I can speak on because we teach it. Verbal craft is backed by science, by statistics. It's a de-escalation communication skills system that gives a point-by-point breakdown in how to really work through a situation to where you are validating what somebody is trying to do. You're giving them something that you can both agree upon, and then you're proposing something that is an alternative to what's going on. We train you in this. We break down how does your body, your mind respond in those particular situations, not just the grabbing, but a wide variety of different interactions that you might be occurring. How does your emotions respond to it? I have learned so much about myself in that. How does aggression play into it? And I've had to learn to check myself in some of those situations. I've taught in different classes of when you're communicating, your tone of voice. Say you're having a bad mental health day, or maybe it's the 10th time you've been grabbed that day and you're just, get off me! That person was just trying to be nice, and all of a sudden you're yelling, you become the aggressor in the situation, which ultimately isn't fair to them, but they don't know how the rest of your day has went. And so a lot kind of goes into it, and we help you to unpack more of that and be able to give you more tools, lots more tools in your toolkit to be able to communicate in those situations, in those interactions, to be able to better communicate a scenario, not a scenario, but a solution to those situations when you have found yourself flustered in the past. You might have responded in a way that you have not been necessarily happy with. I'm first to admit, I'll raise my hand. Yes, I'll be right there. And that's okay though. we weren't taught those things in school. And so you kind of do the best you can with what you have. And so I've known people who I would consider to be great advocates for themselves when it comes to advocating maybe to a stranger uh, in uh, in their personal safety. But when it comes to communicating our safety needs, maybe to friends, family, interpersonal relationships, that can really be even more of a struggle. And so even verbal craft would be beneficial for them. And so I've been using it myself, and highly recommend it to even people who have, as I said, I've seen be great advocates to strangers, but have watched where they've struggled in those interpersonal communication scenarios, to where maybe they're not doing so hot. And we can communicate better maybe with public, but again, interpersonals, different communication style. And so the better we can learn communication skills with ourselves, with the people we're closest to, with strangers, we're just going to be doing better as people. It's just a beautiful thing. And again, I could go on. I'm trying not to go down so many different rabbit holes, because I could keep going and going. But I want to encourage you that there is lots of different systems that, when it comes to learning communication, like books. Verbal Judo is a good book that you could read. When it comes to that would be a system that I would recommend when it comes to learning communication. These skills can be applied for personal safety. They can be applied to many different aspects of our lives. And so I admit fully I'm biased on the verbal craft, because I've watched how it's made a big impact in my life. I watched how the empowering words made a big impact on my life, because at the time when empowering words came into my life, I struggled to speak up. And so understand, first look at yourself, figure out where you're at, what steps do you need to start taking. If you need to start with just a word, that's okay. It's okay. And if you think you're ready for the big mama jamma for the verbal craft stuff, bring it on. Let's talk. But wherever you're at, or even if you think you're a great advocate, okay, and even if you're watching this and you're like, you know what, I don't need to learn communication skills. As I said, I've watched people who that I would consider to be great advocates, but when you're one-on-one with them, their communication skills are not that great. So anybody and everybody on planet Earth can always get better with communication skills. Okay? This is something that anybody and everybody can benefit from. Even me, I'm still a work in progress. I'm always going to be a work in progress. I'm never going to be to the point where I'm like, I got it. Nope. If I ever say that, I give you full permission. You can write it down to come back and kick my butt, because I'm always going to be learning, especially when it comes to communication, because communication is always changing and growing. And as long as we keep working on it and building it, that's the important part. And keeping open communication with the ones closest to us is very important, especially when it comes to personal safety. And the things that you feel that are the most, I guess, when it comes to your personal safety, I guess I'm going to add this little tip here maybe at the end, is if you have some different things in your life that really stick out for you when it comes to your personal safety. For example, I know a friend of mine that they really struggle with people touching them. They do not want people to give them sighted guide, and that is their thing. And again, 100% okay. But that has to be communicated with people every time that they're going to airports and things like that. And so, you have to, communicate that. For example, with me, for my personal safety, okay, I am somebody, I cannot get hit in the head. There's people that they'll joke and do a tap, or the big thing is the boop in the nose. I can't do it. I just, nope, don't boop me in the nose. That's a good way for me to just, it doesn't work for me. And so my children know, my husband knows that is that's a personal safety boundary of mine. You don't do it with me. And whatever your particular thing is, it could be something as simple as that. Well, I guess it's not simple for me, but it could be something simple. It could be something big. Whatever the case might be, is don't be afraid to communicate whatever your particular boundaries are. And then if somebody is not respecting that boundary, then that is a huge red flag, and that is a whole other conversation, which is something we are going to be discussing in Tea Time in June, because June's topic is consent and boundaries, because that is another whole big rabbit hole I could go down. But but communicating your personal safety is big. Don't be afraid to do it, and I encourage you to keep saying safety positive. I hope this helps, and hope you enjoyed the 2-for-1. And if you want to enjoy tea time discussions about personal safety topics, I encourage you to join us for our tea time discussions on Monday nights, and join us for our next video, and stay safety positive.